So today I get to play the new standard in the early access event kindly offered by Wizards, and this deck was just nuts. Some of these new Brothers War cards are just totally busted. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today we're playing some Dimir Puppeteer card draw using some absolute sweet new cards from the Brothers War. But before we get going, and as always, I really appreciate your support for this channel, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button below. I have plenty of decks made leading up to the rollout next week, and you just don't want to miss out. But on to today, and I want to try and make a deck around the card Gixian Puppeteer. It's a 4-cost, 4/3 Phyrexian Warlock. This is when you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It also says that when it dies, return target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now there are so many sweet synergies in this deck, but they all revolve around drawing cards. So I'll start with the new cards from the Brothers War. We're playing Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor, a hugely popular card today that says whenever a creature deals combat damage to your opponent, its controller may pay a life and draw a card. And for 7, you get to discard X cards and exile the top X cards of a library. You get to play lands and cast spells from amongst them without playing their mana costs. Now this is just totally busted later in the game, and extremely good in black decks generally. Most mono black decks I've seen today are running this card. Another new card that heavily draws cards is Teferi, Temporal, Pilgrim. It's a planeswalker that says when you draw a card, you put a loyalty counter on it. For 0, you can draw a card. -2, create a 2/2 spirit that gets a +1/+1 counter each time you draw, and for -12, target opponent chooses a permanent they control, returns it to their hands, then shuffles all other non-land permanents into their library. As you can see, this works really well in this deck. The other card is my favourite card of the day. It works so well in control decks or aggressive decks. It's Surge Engine. It's a defender 3/2 that you can level. So for a blue, it loses defender and gains it can't be blocked. For 2 and a blue, it becomes a 5/4, and for 4 and 2 blue, you get to draw 3 cards. Now this card is just nuts as it just can't be blocked. Even with enormous board stalls, I love this card just so much today. Other cards we run that I'm sure you've seen before are Sheoldreds, which is just perfect for this deck, Evolve Sleepers for an early board presence, and Kaito Shizuki for more of that sweet card draw. Interaction wise, make disappear, Tainted Indulgence to trigger our Puppeteer on our opponent's turns, and go for the throat. So for 2 mana you can destroy any non-artifact creature, and I'll take the risk that it always has a target, because if all else fails, we are playing Invoke Despair to close out the games too. Land wise, we now have access to Dimir Painlands and Mishra's Foundry. It's a colourless land, but for 2 it becomes a 2/2 artifact creature assembly worker, and for 1 and tap, target assembly worker gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So that's 24 lands, and this is my sweet Gixian Puppeteer deck. Like I said, this deck did so well today, so take a look, let me know what you would change, and yeah, I'll talk to you after. Alright, on the play here, not the best hand, couple of islands here, we could do with a black mana. This is much better. Probably don't need this Invoke Despair this early on, but Surge Engine is my favourite card of the day. I've played this card in many decks today, including control games and aggro games. It seems to just do so well, especially in board stalls. So we'll definitely be wanting to drop that on turn 2 here. Opponent with a Boros land, it looks like. Okay, so Naya and Gala Greeters. Alright, so maybe a token deck. So this Surge Engine, this is where it's just going to shine if we can get this unblockable. So let's play our 3rd mana here. Yeah, it costs an island to allow it to attack and not be blocked, which is a little bit awkward with our land here. But we can just do that as its next level is going to cost us 3. So yeah, get in there for 3 damage already. I mean, already we've managed to get an unblockable creature on the battlefield, which is pretty cool. And opponent with Catilda here, so they're going to go really wide, so we're going to hopefully get this down, get Gix down, get Sheoldred down, and get this Puppeteer down. I mean, these 3 cards all work well together as we draw a Mate Disappear. Not the best card here. I mean, we could play any of these cards for right now, to be honest. Going to play the Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. Allows us to start drawing cards. So when we do combat damage to a player, we can pay a life and draw a card. So yeah, with Sheoldred on the battlefield, obviously that would be net gain 1 life. And with the Puppeteer on the battlefield, that would be doing 2 damage to the opponent as well, because it would be the second card we draw on our turn. So this is looking pretty good. As long as we can keep our creatures on the battlefield here, I think we should be okay here. Opponent with Wedding Announcement, which is fine. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be a removal, so far no new cards for our opponent. There's been a lot of reading today whilst I try and understand exactly what a lot of these cards do. And yeah, Gala Greeters creates a treasure. Okay, so they're going wide and ramping hard. Evolved Sleeper there. Not ideal, but we're just going to keep playing our new cards. So this is the third new card we get to play, Gixian Puppeteer. And yeah, we can attack with our 3/2 unblockable. We're definitely going to take a damage, draw a card, gain 2 life, and ping our opponent for 2. So they're already down to 7. So yeah, we just hang out in this game and we'll win hopefully with this artifact here. Another good part of this Surge engine is if you've got it on the battlefield and you're playing that like a control deck, and if you are holding open counter spells and you've got nothing else to do on your turn, you can just dump your mana into this and draw cards and do damage. It's totally changed the way I think some of the control decks have been playing today, especially the Urza deck. Opponent with Awaken the Woods. Alright, so that creates 1/1 Dryad tokens that can tap for land, which is nice. I'm sure that they will probably wanted to play another card first, whether it's like Tatty Over, as they would all become 3/3 flyers. I've definitely seen that deck today. We draw a Tainted Indulgence. Trying to see if I can win the game right now. And forgive me if there's any kind of gameplay mistakes here. It's difficult to exactly know what to do and exactly at what time. I know that I can just keep attacking with this artifact. And obviously the second Gixian Puppeteer here is going to double the triggers, so we'll be able to do 3 damage through this, and then we'll be able to draw a couple of cards, or draw a card and do 4 damage through these Puppeteers. So opponent's going to go down to 1 life here. We just draw one of our tap lands. Guess we could have not played that Puppeteer, the second Puppeteer, and then we could have Tainted Indulgence on our opponent's turn. That would have been fine. Could have also held open and Make Disappear there. That would have been 2 draw steps on our opponent's turn, which would have been the same outcome, I think. But yeah, opponent in the tank here. They need to deal with this artifact, and to be honest, we've got Sheoldred in our hand as well, so we should be looking good as long as we don't die. And this set is full of absolute bombs. They do have a lot of mana here because these tokens tap for mana. And a Portal to Phyrexia, card that a lot of people are reanimating, but clearly they've got the mana here to cast it. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. But when our Gixian Puppeteer dies, we get to return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield, so that's a really nice little value there. The artifact up there also says at the beginning of your upkeep, you get to put a creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So it's a hugely popular card I've seen today, a lot of reanimation targets. So it's probably this deck is trying to reanimate, but they've got a lot of mana, and as they got Kayla's Reconstruction, so look at the top 7 cards of your library, put up to X artifact and or creatures with mana value 3 or less from amongst the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. They found Devilish Valet, so that's what they're trying to do. They have some triggers here, and I can't see them winning here because, yeah, 3/2 is unblockable, and we managed to scrape through a victory right at the end there. Alright, on the play. Yes, pretty good hand. Surge Engine in our hand again. We're playing 2 of these in our deck. I would probably consider putting more of these actually in. They seem to have overperformed. We even get to play our tap land on turn 1, which is nice. A couple of Invoke Despairs is going to be pretty decent to get to later in the game, as long as we keep hitting our land drops. So we draw our Yawgmoth Praetor. So this is working out pretty nice for us. Opponent with their second land, Naya deck. And they just pass their turns. We find an Involved Sleeper. So yeah, I always like to try and level up this Surge Engine as soon as possible. Let the opponent remove it if they want to. And go to attacks. And it's a Cathartic Pyre. Okay, so firstly that suggests another Reanimator deck. Secondly, I'm glad we played it. We leveled up that creature because I didn't really want them to kill our Praetor in our hand instead. But another creature we get to pump mana into. And it's Restoration of Ganjo for our opponent. And we just get to level up our sleeper. So far I've been super impressed with the cards in the Brothers War. They've been totally bonkers, totally mad. Especially when you get to reanimate some of these big 9, 10 cost artifacts. But it's so refreshing to see some new cards, and I think this is just going to be fantastic for standard. So opponent gets to discard a card with Restoration or Aganjo. We get to see now if they're holding any big creatures that they're going to want to reanimate, because I'm pretty sure that's what they're trying to do here. And we've got that sweet little combo here of a creature and Gix. And next turn, if we can get Sheoldred down, we can start gaining some life as well. Go for the Throat in our hand can deal with this Restoration of Aganjo when it transforms. So yeah, kind of like where we are right now. Just got to be mindful of open blue mana for our opponent. And they just pass through their turn, so slightly aware that they may have a Wandering Emperor here, but I'm going to have to attack and just hope that they don't, which they don't. I don't know if they were faking that or they're going to play another spell, but we get to take a damage, draw a card, and it's a Puppeteer, which is exactly what we want. Now I want to kind of deal with this Restoration while I can, so I'm just going to Invoke Despair now. I mean, you could play Sheoldred now to get the sweet value next turn, but I just want to get this thing off the battlefield as soon as I can, draw some more cards, and yeah. Like I said, I don't know if this is always the best way to play these cards right now. We're going to see as the season progresses, but they play big score. Yeah, Portal Phyrexia again, another massive reanimation target. So if they can get that out of the battlefield, they're just going to wipe our board away. And one with a Multiverse, another hugely popular card today. It's a 6 mana enchantment that allows you to play lands from the top of your deck and allows you to play cards from your hand for free. And a repair and recharge to bring back the Portal Phyrexia. So that's the reanimation. So I'll put those cards up if you want to give them a read. But yeah, not the best turn for us anyway. We do have a lot of cards here, and we just got to be wary of this artifact that's going to be able to put creatures onto the battlefield from the graveyard every upkeep. So we've got to be careful that we are not killing our creatures needlessly. I could have played Invoke Despair to get rid of this blue enchantment, but I'm playing slightly risky here to get Sheoldred down first. And they target our Yawgmoth Praetor. That's not a problem at all. We do have Go for the Throat in our hand, but I don't want to just fire that off immediately. I want to try and make sure we win this game. So other cards they may have in their deck, Titan of Industry is really popular as a big reanimation target. So we have to be mindful of that. And they drop a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, something we can deal with. Still wary that there's obviously a follow-up spell coming. I don't want to just fire off this Go for the Throat straight away. This is one of those ideal situations that if we could get our unblockable creature onto the battlefield, we can just charge through. Yeah. And there's an Invoke Justice, but no targets in the graveyard for them except for the Restoration of Aganjo. So the opponent's definitely getting back into this game. And Guardian of New Benalia, so that's a pretty good card. It's a good way to discard spells for free. And yeah, we can play our Go for the Throat, and it's our most mana efficient play here. No point taking out the 5/5 as they just bring it back next turn. So we'll deal with this 4/4 now. At least that means they can't target that. So we draw a Gix ourselves. So what do we want to do here? We've got some really powerful cards in our hand, but this is a Gixian Puppeteer deck, so we'll definitely get that onto the battlefield. And it's whether we follow up with our Planeswalker or our Praetor. Now, our Planeswalker is great as we're going to be able to trigger the Puppeteer immediately by just drawing a card, so that's another -2 life for our opponent there. going to discard the creature. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the right play here, but they're going to be able to bring that back next turn. But I did want the mana. I'm hoping we're going to be able to see this game through with our Puppeteers. As, yeah, Portal triggers. And they get the Surge Engine instead, so they're going to start making that unblockable. Good way to get rid of Kaito, good way to kill us. We just need to draw a couple of cards on our next turn, and hopefully Sheoldred can ping our opponent to death in their upkeep. So yeah, they are activating the Surge Engine. Good little mana sink here. So you got to see loads of new cards from our opponent here, loads of new reanimation spells. I think Reanimator, this Boros version, is going to be hugely popular, as the deck was already pretty popular, and there's just so many better targets now that you can bring back from the graveyard. Okay, opponent gives us the GGs and scoops it up. Alright, on the play with a silly hand. I mean, we'll keep it. Stuff to do. And I'm just going to throw all these sleepers down onto the battlefield and see what happens. Probably not the best idea, but I don't think I've ever drawn a hand like this. So yeah, let's just play our Evolved Sleeper. See what our opponent's up to. It's Plains, so we just draw another land. Alright, I could just sit there leveling things up, but I think we're just going to jam all these onto the battlefield and see where it takes us. Opponent with a second Plains and Rafine's Informant. Alright, so maybe another reanimation deck. And we draw a Tainted Indulgence. So do we attack now? Don't we attack now? At this point in time, I'm just thinking, alright, you know what? Let's just get in as much as we possibly can. And yeah, we'll hold open Tainted Indulgence to cast that and see if we can draw some much better gas. If they draw a Steel Seraph, 3/3 prototype flying creature. So at the beginning of combat, target creature you control gains flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. So they paid it for the prototype cost, which means it's just a 3/3. Haven't seen that card today, but it looks pretty sweet. So we get to play our Tainted Indulgence, and yeah, not really much there for us. And it's a Make Disappear. Okay, so this 3/3 kind of deals with our Evolved Sleepers pretty nicely. But I'm going to attack, see what they want to do. Okay, we're just going to level up our Evolved Sleeper again. So these are turning into some kind of like pseudo removal cards. Oh yeah, misclick there. I accidentally pressed the first level twice. It made no difference though. We didn't have a follow-up. Opponent with a Touch the Spirit Realm. Alright, so there goes our early creatures, but they've had to do with a lot of stuff themselves, and there's nothing really on the board. So we get to play Kaito here. So we drew a second Kaito. We'll just make a little ninja and hold open our Make Disappear. So pretty much going to counter whatever they do here. Unless it's like a little 1/1, and they channel away Samurai. So they get to put a basic Plains in their hand, and they get to cast that. And we draw a Tainted Indulgence. So we'll attack first. We all know how Kaito works. Get to draw another Tainted Indulgence. Okay, so our deck's not been that kind to us here. We haven't really hit any of our decent creatures, just our smaller creatures that fill that 1-drop slot, as it's another Invoke Justice. I promise you it's not just reanimating decks today. It seems to be highly popular at this exact moment, but get to counter that and then play our Tainted Indulgence. And that's much better. Hugely better. We get to actually do stuff now. So can only cast one of these cards as our land does enter tapped here. We'll play our Gix. Start drawing some cards. Might draw an untapped land. We don't. We draw our Teferi. Yeah, and we'll just draw through our Kaito as well. So I like where we are here, and we even managed to draw a Make Disappear. So if they've got another reanimation spell, which they do, we get to Make Disappear. I try not to play too many counter decks in these kind of events, as I do want to see, or everyone wants to see how all the cards work, but We're a blue-black deck, so we're going to run at least 4 of them. So we get to attack, draw some cards, and I'm not really sure how the opponent's going to get out of this. We even drawn the Surge Engine here, so pretty nice card. Keep drawing for our Kaito. And yeah, we'll just play our Surge Engine here. They're going to need to wipe the board, or pretty sure they're going to be dead next turn. So this has gone remarkably well, even though our opening hand was pretty terrible. And yeah, opponent scoops it up. Alright, on the play, with a pretty good hand. No early creatures though, but we do have the Sheoldred and Invoke Despair, little combo there. Is our turn 4 and 5 plays, and hopefully our Tainted Indulgences can get us to that point. Opponent mulligan in a couple of times, or once I think, and it is a Is-It land. So yeah, so one of the decks I'm actually going to be playing is an Is-It Prowess deck. I played that all morning, so and I've got loads of really good gameplay footage of that, so that's the next deck I'll be putting up. Opponent may be on the same deck. It's super good and it's super fast as well. There's prowess creatures and really good little spells that can be cast to pump them. Twin Shot Sniper here though to our Kaito before it gets a chance to phase out. Pretty nice. Okay, so Jeskai, and there's a Fable. A 1/1 is unblockable, which is always nice. Another little combo there. If we have our Gix out, at least we can make sure we get some more damage through. So these unblockable creatures working pretty well in this deck. Opponent gets, well, we played Sheoldred there purely because we knew that Fable was about to trigger. Although I probably would have played Sheoldred anyway, but you want to get that down before Fable's second chapter does its thing. And it's Urza. Alright, so this is a hugely popular card today. This is the Meld version. I'll put it up on the screen so you can give it a read. But on its own, it's pretty good. And if you compare it with the artifact, then it becomes basically, well, when it melds, it becomes almost unbeatable. But yeah, we get to drop our Invoke Despair. So we're actually just trying to race our opponent before they get a chance to kill us through Planeswalkers. And there it is, the Might Stone and Weak Stone. So they just need 7 mana to meld these. It's really nice ETB though, as it gives a creature -5/-5. So it deals with Sheoldred really well. So I guess even on its own, it's pretty good. So we draw out Puppeteer, our signature card of the deck. Really nice little card. It just managed to get incremental damage through. Went for Sheoldred here, and it's just the opponent's on 3 life, and I think Sheoldred gives us the maximum amount of chance to kill them, so they go down to 1 life. And scoop it up. Yeah, I think Sheoldred was a good choice there. Alright, on the draw with a highly Dominaria United style hand here. None of our new cards, it's just the way it goes. We have enough new cards in this deck, but not in our opening hand here, but it's a pretty decent hand nonetheless. This opponent looks like they're playing Jund. Yeah, we get to play our new Painland here. They're in Dimir, so all the colours are now represented in the sets. And drop our Sleeper. And we did draw our Puppeteer, excuse me, our Puppeteer, so pretty nice. So yeah, our hand is absolutely ideal here. Probably just going to play the island and say go. That will allow us to pump in our second main on the Evolved Sleeper, but it will also allow us to hold open our Mage Despair. Obviously, unless they play a spell now. They just pass their turn. We draw a land. Okay, well, it is a tap land, but we're going to play our untapped land and attack, see what our opponent wants to do first, decide what we're going to do, and yeah, we'll just hit him for 1, and we'll just hold open Mate Disappear. We'll definitely win the longer game. Don't want them to drop a really powerful 3-drop though. So I'm pretty much going to Mate Disappear whatever's played right now, because next turn I want to start evolving this sleeper really. Okay, they don't play anything. Well, that gives us a free trigger on the sleeper, which is nice. Wonder if they're in. Okay, so that, yeah, they're now incentivized to cut down our creature as we pumped our mana into it, and we just play our tap lands and say go. So yeah, Underground River there, one of the pain lands, and it's Fable for our opponent, so we will make disappear that. It's still one of the best cards in the game. And we draw one of my favorite cards here, but definitely want to get down this Gixian Puppeteer whilst we have the opportunity. So now we're going to turn the screw and see if we can get aggressive here. See how that goes. Expecting a lot of interaction from our opponent. These Jund decks are still as popular as they were and still pretty good, and they've got a load of new tools now to help in their endeavors. And it's another Fable. Okay, can't do anything about that. What we can do is drop our Sheoldred next turn to ensure that their Fables trigger. Well, we did draw a land actually. This is a Teething Wormlet. Has Death Touch as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Yeah, Sheoldred now before the second chapter on Fables, always nice. We'll prompt the opponent to kill it if they have a kill spell, which they do, Infernal Grasp. Oh well, would have been nice to have our Sheoldred on the battlefield and then invoked. I guess we could have invoked last turn, that would have killed off the Fable anyway. Probably took a risk there. Maybe I should have played the Invoke Despair instead. Not a problem. So yeah, much more grindy game here. This is the kind of game the Surge engine is just going to be great at. Also, as it's an artifact, if people are playing Go for the Throat, it does survive that as well. So as you can see, our opponent here played Infernal Grasp. So many artifacts, so many different synergies. Okay, so Fable can loot and not take any damage. Thinking about something here, and it's a Blood type Harvester. Okay. The Wormlet gets a +1 counter as we just draw another Sheoldred. Yeah, so we're just going to keep playing Sheoldred, and hopefully we can play this Invoke Despair and get a load of value off it ourselves. And this time the opponent doesn't have any removal. So Fable turns the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Still a valid target from for Invoke Despair though. And a Graveyard Trespasser, okay. Gonna eat a card from our graveyard. Not the end of the world. I'm still looking at this Surge engine thinking, well, this is just going to be unblockable, but we do need to evolve it and get it away from the Blood Tithe Harvester's sort of attack, or when it taps to destroy a creature, double the amount of blood. So we just need to make sure that we can play it with a load of value. Play Invoke Despair first, see what the opponent wants to sack. We're going to have to get rid of their Kiki-Jiki and another creature here. So yeah, Invoke Despair still doing wonders in this format. We're going to gain a load of life, and the Phyrexian is going to... Sorry, the Puppeteer is going to ping the opponent for 2 as well. So yeah, opponent takes 4 here. So it's an extra trigger basically off the Invoke Despair. And then out down to 13. Nothing more to really do here. We're doing alright, just sitting there doing nothing. So I think we'll just hold back here and let the opponent make the next move. We did draw our Go for the Throat, so at least we can kill one of their creatures. They're hovering over our Puppeteer here with their Harvester. Well, I guess if they have another Harvester in their hand, then they can cleanly kill the Puppeteer. And they just passed their turn. Not sure what they were waiting for, whether it's to see that if they wanted to sacrifice their blood token, but they would have taken another couple of damage through Sheoldred there. And they just passed the turn straight away. Alright, so the Trespasser's now become a Graveyard Glutton, so it's a 4/4. Going to Invoke Despair first, see what the opponent wants to sacrifice. Fortunately, we don't have the black mana available there to also follow up with a Go for the Throat. We're a little bit limited on swamps here, as I would like to have access to Go for the Throat as well, and to cast it so we can double spell. But I mean, we can play the Surge engine here. There's no point leaving open mana faking out a counterspell or anything, so they get rid of their little wormlet. We draw another Sheoldred and a Puppeteer, yeah, gaining more life, pinging our opponent for 2, and we get to play our Surge Engine. Alright, so this is now a major threat for them. This can just become unblockable and just attack through the opponent's creatures. Could have attacked, I guess, there. Don't see the point. We're on 27. We just need to wait for them to make the moves. Okay, so we find out that they're actually an Anvil deck. They haven't found that all game. And we get the Trespasser to become a 3/3 again. So yeah, a long game here. Opponent is hanging in there though, as they are slowly working their way up to 7 mana, which I always feel is where you don't want to get to. Alright, and here's a nice little combo. Unleash the Inferno there on a Sheoldred, and it can take the other creature out as well. So I'll remember that one going forward. And suddenly we're just left with a 4/3. And they get to play their Anvil. It's going to be an annoying card to get through here. Yeah, I don't want them to hit a Titan or anything and gain that 5 life. I think that's going to be the end here, but they still need to do 27 damage to us, so I don't see us dying particularly soon, but we just got to try and get over this edge while we can, and that's a Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. So again, we've got the combo kind of in our hand. We need to play Sheoldred here, then we can follow it up as well. I mean, we could play the Go for the Throat, which I did. I don't know if this was necessarily the right play, but this Graveyard Glutton is starting to irritate me by being there. I can't really attack past it. When this Puppeteer dies, I get to return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield, so they couldn't block with the Harvester there, otherwise we would have just got a free creature basically, so they do block with their 1/1. And if they can't find any artifacts, then they are going to lose their Anvil if they want to sack that. But yeah, the 3 toughness has been great here in the face of his Harvester. And Riveteer's Charm. Okay. Let's look at the top 3 again. And there's an Infernal Grasp, which is annoying. There's also a Sheoldred there. And yeah, it's unfortunate they can't play that. For them anyway. But they had to deal with our Sheoldred. If we can just draw 2 spells on our 2 cards on our turn, or 1 extra card, then we can do the 2 damage to kill our opponent here. Although they gain a life back through the Anvil. So we just draw a Swamp. Okay, so I don't think this is a particularly clean way to try and finish this game. And I'm not sure if I should have played the Swamp there, because we can discard some cards and look at the top X cards of a library and cast them for free. And we probably should have kept the land in our hand to discard through our Praetor here. But no worries. Still think we're absolutely in this game. Okay, opponent with Sheoldred, that's a perfect card for them. Nice little top deck. And a Harvester as well. Alright, so 2 really good cards there from our opponent. They're hanging in there. This has turned really interesting now. I do love Sheoldred. Yeah, we get to draw. Okay, there's Teferi. So we're going to start losing life every time we draw through Teferi. Here's what it is. Yeah, we'll just play our Planeswalker and take it from there. So we get to draw a card first. I mean, we could create a 2/2 instead. But no, we'll draw a card and that will ping the opponent for another damage. We also lose a life. So we just draw a Swamp, so... Okay, well, this is a little loop we're going to be in now over the next couple of turns, I think, until they can kill Teferi. Can't really attack, though. Again, they're on 3 life. I just won't block, and then we can win it just by pure damage. And, yeah, they get to Sacrifice their blood token. Okay, do 2 more damage to us. And it's an anvil, which is a really good card for them to draw. So they're fighting the good fight here. The life gain we've had over this game has really kept us in it. I wish we had the unblockable creature on the battlefield at the moment. And yeah, opponent goes to attack Teferi with their harvesters. Interesting here, do we let Teferi go? Do we block? We have the Surge Engine in the graveyard that we can actually reanimate, but I unfortunately picked the wrong creature to block with. If we had blocked with the other creature here, as it died, we would have been able to bring a creature back to the battlefield. I don't know why I blocked with that one, but I did. Because we just draw a Puppeteer anyway. Yeah, I totally blocked with the wrong one. Just a slight error there. But yeah, I'm trying to... I want this creature to die, basically, so we can bring back our unblockable creature. We'll just draw a card. With the second Puppeteer on the battlefield, at least that's 4 damage we get to do to our opponent. So yeah, we should be able to kill them anyway if we can keep the Teferi alive. We just draw another land. Definitely let this game go one longer. And to be honest, if they attack, I am now going to just block with the Puppeteer. But we may as well just attack because the opponent has to block anyway. So my creature is going to die, and then we can bring back this this artifact from the graveyard. Yeah, so we go to attacks. Sheoldred has to block. Yep, there's the block. And although Sheoldred doesn't die, a turn later than we wanted to, we get to play our Surge Engine from the graveyard. We have so much mana, we can just activate this on our opponent's turn. So they have to kill this. They go back up to 3. And there's the Teething Wormlet. So yeah, this Surge Engine's probably going to get us out of trouble here. They get to sacrifice their anvil. And they're pretty dead on board. So yeah, the Surge Engine, another time where this card is just overperformed. In board states like this, it's just ludicrous. It's so good. It's so good. And I mean, we can draw 3 cards next turn if we needed to through the same card. And yeah, just go to attacks and take out our opponent, and another victory there. Managed to not lose a game today. So thanks for watching. I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible, and with the new cards and interactions, it's hard to always play the right things at the right times and to predict what our opponents are going to play, but I think we did pretty well. We won all our games. I just can't wait for this new set to hit Arena next week and explore this deck further and other decks, but feel free to subscribe if you like, as I've got loads of other videos lined up until release day, and I'll speak to you again very soon.